hopefully what we're doing in a lot of artists out there is just, keep on keeping on for future generations. I mean, art used to be revered. Artists used to be revered long ago. But I really do believe that we need art in our lives and we need art in our worlds and beyond philosophically give us so much to fill our spirits and fill our time, fill our lives.
Hello, I'm Tammy Hahnemann, a maker, digital content creator, someone who works in many different mediums with a true passion for helping others find their creative spark. I also really love to connect others who have something to share with those who want to learn. Welcome to Heart and Hands of a Maker, the creative journey. If you found us, chances are you're on a quest for creative inspiration. Maybe you're feeling stuck in an artistic rut, dreaming of turning your passion into a flourishing business, or maybe you're hoping to see your work in print or grow your online presence. Well, my friend, wherever you are on your creative journey, you're in the right place. Today, we're talking with Brenda Schweder, author, jewelry designer, instructor, and inventor. And after 30 years in the DIY jewelry industry supporting others on their maker journey, Brenda is now focusing on making her one true art, the repurposed, revived, and reinvented. We'll be discussing Brenda's maker journey, her current status, and some other very timely topics. It's time to grab your favorite beverage, settle into your creative space, and meet the recombobulator queen, Miss Brenda. Welcome to the show.
Okay, you said you consolidated that. I'm like, wow, did I write that or did you do a little editing?
No,
I tamified it.
tamified.
That's good. Can I have that, please?
Yes,
Can you text that to me?
I can. Oh, it's so great to have you here. Thank you so much for making the time and being here with me and us, all of us who are listening.
Yeah, it's so good. Well, we were teasing before we got on, and it was like, hey, can we just like chat and catch up? Because for those of you who don't know, Tammy and I are pretty good friends, but we've been so busy with our LIVES.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And even in Tucson, I don't think I even saw you this Tucson. So really, it is a good time to catch up, but really a wonderful opportunity for me to bring you to an audience that either doesn't know you or is not as up to date on all that you got going on. So
I love this audience.
oh, as do I. As do I. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we did get to get together in Tucson, and we dragged Shane along. We had a nice dinner.
Oh my gosh, yes, at Hotel Congress. Yes, we did.
Yeah,
How could I forget?
but and that's where you gave me your fabulous postcard of podcasts. So
That you held on to and then finally said yes to being a guest. Thank you.
I don't know. I feel like I'm so out of it, and all those things you tell yourself. So
You are far from out of it. Oh my gosh. I feel like you've always been on the precipice of all that's next. Like you have this vision and you're a visionary. So you're always willing to jump and try something new. Like that's just Brenda. Brenda's always out there doing something a little bit differently. And we're all like, what is she doing now? And then we're like, oh, I guess I should try it too.
I don't know. I always thought like Kate Richburg was that person, so I just do it as she did.
Well,
Kate,
Kate is pretty
yeah,
amazing. Yes.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm just like, you know, can we say the C word? That's just been such a big change for everybody. And at the same time, we relocated, as you know, I relocated from Wisconsin to Tucson in 2019. So we were just getting to know Tucson and the Southwest and all that stuff. And then the panini hit. And at the same time, my inventions were just sort of like grinding to a halt. Not that hammer. Now that's a hammer because that was a co-brand with thoughts, but things were just sort of winding down. But I was also really ready. I just maybe didn't know it fully yet to to do what I really should have been doing all along. And it's not to say that my time in the hobby industry was anything less. I loved it. I loved meeting everyone. We have such a great community, and our fellow teachers and publishers like yourself. It was a wonderful time for me, but it was always just sort of like sideline to what I really wanted to be doing, which was found object jewelry. Just always my first class with with Susan Leonard Casimir, now Susan Leonard, was amazing. And I was just like, wait a minute, you can do this?
You're allowed to do this? Nobody told
Yeah,
me.
wait. Yeah, yeah. This wasn't on the college 101. Yeah, the offerings at Mount Mary. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I think that's I think just to take you back just a second,
yeah.
you had a full-time career. You did go to college at Mount Mary. You were
Hmm.
in I don't remember your exact degree, but more on the fashion side, and you
Hmm.
came out with such a sense of style and knowledge that you then took into a marketing position, right? You were
Yeah,
working in marketing
yeah,
full
yeah.
time,
Hmm.
and then you
Hmm.
met Jim,
And I
and then
met
you had
Jim.
children, and then you stopped working somewhere in
Yeah.
that order.
Hmm.
And so some of what you did in the DIY hobby jewelry making space was fulfilling
Yes. Oh, yes.
artistically, but
Hmm.
also a way for you to feel somewhat like you were contributing to your household, because I know that was important to you, but in a way that made it so you could dance around the children being your primary focus.
Yeah.
Is that
Hmm.
accurate?
Yeah. You're such a good listener.
Oh no! Well, I've known you a long time.
Yeah.
It's no, because I just want to frame some of it, so because not everybody does know you, and I think it's an
Hmm.
important part of who you are, and I think also after 30 years, it's okay to evolve into whatever's next and to get back to what it is that
Hmm.
maybe you either uncovered as being your true focus, your true
Hmm.
passion, or
Hmm.
whatever life added to your plate that made a new passion. I think that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. It's just that we didn't know that when we were 19.
Oh gosh,
You
no
know,
kidding, no
I
kidding.
think I look back and yeah, so right out of high school, and my my parents we were from Upper Michigan, which is, really pretty isolated. And
Hmm.
my apologies to anyone from Upper Michigan who thinks I might be dissing them, but I and to go back just a little bit further, until we were 8, I lived in Milwaukee. So I was used to a little bit more of suburb life.
Hmm.
And then we moved back to where my parents are from, and we're living on 40 acres. And until we lived in a log cabin
Hmm.
until, my dad was actually building our house beside the log cabin. So, and, eldest of 6 kids. So all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so I get
Wait,
to
you're the
college.
oldest? Oh, who would have ever guessed you were the oldest?
I
You
know.
don't have any of those.
Let me start bossing you around a little, Pam. But the thing is, I'm an artist eldest, which kind of like my sisters and brothers go, yeah, right. You're also flighty, okay? So we're not sure that we should take any advice from you, but I still like to give it. So,
A little type A, a little out there, a little.
flying around. Where am I supposed to be? Anyway. So my point being that my parents are really pretty like, neither of them had college degrees, but they were like, they wanted us to all have an advanced education. But then, you're looking at majors. And so already you're sliding yourself into some sort of, some hole that you may or may not fit into. But, I did get into, fashion, which was, when I was, I guess, 18, that was seemed to be where I thought I wanted to be. And wow, my mom always like, because I would always dress a little bit differently than my friends. I don't know if you can believe that. And she was like, I didn't know what she was letting you go to high school with high heels on. My goodness. But I let you do it.
Well, she had 5 other ones to take care of. She had to choose her battles.
Yeah, those were the least of it.
At least you were
So
going to school. It wasn't that fight.
yeah. Oh no, I was the obedient little
Yeah.
girl. I mean, the school system is set up for good little girls like me who want to please the teacher and
Hmm.
get good grades and
Hmm.
all that kind of stuff. She never had to worry about that till later. But yeah, so fashion it was, and then but not soon after that, I was like, I don't know about this draping stuff, and You mean yeah, I don't have to I can't just draw the things, I have to make them. So, so then I switched and did a self major and created fashion promotion and advertising. But then I always tease that I forgot to go to one of the coasts to get a job. So,
That's a question I had to ask you. Did you ever have designs on moving to New York? I was going to ask you that.
yeah, well, you're ahead of me. I had another kind of fashionable friend, and she graduated and she moved to LA. And so I just decided that I was going to move out there with her after high school. But, that was in high school, and then I did 4 years. So we didn't really keep in touch, but I was like, that was always sort of my motive. And then I was like, hey, Jill, I'm coming out, And she was like, who are you? Not really, but, I was like, oh, okay.
Maybe we'll get together for coffee someday.
Yeah. When I'm in LA. So, but I'm a total believer in everything happens for a reason. So I did shortly after college. I found my way into a fashion show production company, and they did fashion shows in malls. I mean, that was really big then. We'd go to all the stores and we'd pull clothes and do all the things, and then we behind the scenes, and she would do the commentary with all the music on the fashion show stage in Center Court, and I'd be behind make sure everyone's getting out onto the stage on time. But pretty soon then and that's how I fell into shopping center marketing, which was the closest thing to corporate, a job that I ever had. And actually, I shouldn't say closest. It was 8 years of being in the mall office, and that was my early career. So moving from little mall to grow up and be a marketing director.
Wow.
And please all the mall merchants.
That had to be hard.
Yeah, it's sort of like being into committee. So they, in the smaller markets, a lot of the bigger markets were a lot of the chain stores, but the smaller markets had a lot more mom and pop stores, which is what gives your malls all of the, the character and because otherwise they just all, look the same. But, I mean, it was good. And I continued my use of high heels.
You never had to give them up.
I didn't. And after I broke my hip a couple of years ago, I still try to use squishy.
I'm sorry about your hip. That was terrible.
Oh, Katie, for those of us who might not know, Katie Hack, the third musketeer. She did the best thing because, you're like, I kept it quiet for a little bit, but then a week later, I'm like, yeah, Helen broke my hip, and her comment was, well, you got that out of the way.
Always ahead of herself. Something we're all looking forward to in our 80s or 90s, should we live that long, and you just got it done. It's going to happen. I might as well do it now. Let's just get it over with.
So brave.
Oh my gosh. So life just kind of, and I think your fashion background, is that how you got into publishing in the first place with Feed Style? You and Kathy, because Jim was working at Kalmbach, and then they're like, oh, you could write and you have fashion. Oh, you need to write for us.
Well, it wasn't as pretty as that. So we're going to be authentic here. We promised we would do that, right? So Kalmbach got Beat and Button magazine, and Alice Kraft was the editor of that one. I thought, hey, this is going so well. We're going to expand this jewelry line. So Mindy Brooks, I think she was someplace else in the company doing some other assistant editorship. She's like, let's do Bead Style and have it be, easier to do projects. And you know what? I think I want to do like a fashion trend setting article with each one. And it just happened to have gone back. Liam was just old enough to teach fashion illustration at Mount Mary College, my alma mater, again, because someone else backed out. All of these little side things that happen. And then I was like, yeah, I'll fill in for a couple semesters. And so I was in that fashion mode. And so Jim's telling Mindy that, and she's like, oh, would Brenda be interested in writing this? so here I am, like an opportunity to come kind of back in fashion, but also do the creativity. So I was writing the columns in co-authoring them with the head of the fashion department then, Sandra Kaiser. So yeah, so what an opportunity. And I think we did that for like 3 years. And then I was like, you know what? I didn't feel as fashiony because I was going on this found object thing and building more of my artist self up. By then, I was also creating designs for the magazine and writing the how-tos and the thing. I don't think with Beadstyle we weren't doing our own process shots yet because that was another whole thing to learn. Remember that?
Oh yes, oh yes.
And you have your own photo studio in your guest room, or in the basement,
in the closet, or under the dining room table when you can, wherever.
Wherever the best light's going to be. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, and then somewhere you also wrote a book for Kalmbach, was it?
Yeah, the first two I wrote for Kalmbach. That was really great. And, I have to credit a lot of this to Mindy Brooks. And she was like, why don't you propose a class at the Bead and Button show? Who, me? And that was like a fashion show trend-setting class. That was before I was really designing, because Beadstyle was only like 6 times a year. So it was like doing 6 designs is a little different than actually like designing. But yeah, so it just, and then but you know what do you think about writing a book? So she was quite instrumental in sort of like it, but you only have to give me a whisper and I'm like, yes, before she could get the rest of the sentence out.
Sure.
So yeah.
Well, and she in her own right is a visionary. Like she was always so I would love to ask her now how she always knew what was needed so far ahead and what was going to work. And I don't know if she was leaning into what the other titles in the business were doing and she knew they were like, I don't know what really helped her see that. Because I think that's a gift. I think it's a gift. Merle had it. Mindy had it. It's not something I don't feel I possess, So I feel like there's certain people in publishing that really, really could see far enough ahead to make it work. And then you just have to, as Merle would say, you build your stable and you just have people there that you can lean on for certain things. And clearly Mindy saw that in you. Yeah,
I mean, thank you. Just shut up and say thank you. Yeah, it was great. No, it's funny. It's good. Like, I'm thinking, where is she?
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to know. Well, and I don't mean to belabor the point, but I do think it's important to acknowledge the trajectory that you took from, because many of us have had a past that has led us to here, and I think it's important to acknowledge that and also recognize in that the change and the evolution and the ability to stay nimble, because you do identify the fact that now you're in your 60s and you're doing this and you're doing this and you're doing this, and it's like you've just always been, no matter what age you are, always doing this and this and this in whatever form it was.
Just dabbling. I was talking to someone else, is like, when because Jim was always saying, okay, not always, but we kind of got out here and we're like, okay, this is kind of, like the last, I don't know, trimester of, career life. And he's like, retirement was always 5 years out, 5 years out, 5 years out. And then, the great resignation, and he had a close friend of his that he always hunted with pass away, and and he was downsized from Kalmbach, so that really threw him for a loop. I think you were like the first person to call when I was like, he called me. I was on my way home from taping Beads, Baubles, and Jewels because he didn't want to upset me while I was gone, and it had happened while I was gone, and man, that just threw him for a loop, And, he was always the gold watch corporate guy. That's what his dad did. And, he loved Kalmbach, even though it wasn't as fulfilling anymore. Publishing was imploding. And
nobody could get out of their own way. It's like all of us worker bees could see it, but the upper management still wanted to hit their goals and their bonuses or whatever it was that was driving their decision making. And it was like, what are you missing? Why are you not hearing what we're telling you?
Yeah. Well, and I have to say too, like, because he was upper management at that tiny thing, and he was just like, guys, we need to be doing more online. We're a content company. We're not a magazine company,
Yes. Well, but he
And
was on the IT side, so he had greater awareness to technology and things that were happening outside of this. I don't mean to diminish the combat because
no, no,
I've
no,
always
no,
like they were old school and they
yeah,
had their traditions and they didn't think that was going to be necessary. I saw the same thing happen at Labrador Journal. Like,
yeah,
no, I remember, the publisher saying to me when we had a TV opportunity, it's like, TV, what do you need with TV? No, you're not going on TV. And it's like, oh, it's time to
hmm
go.
hmm
It's time
Well,
to
a lot of the editors came from the newspaper side,
Sure.
and that was all. And why were they in magazines at all? Because the same thing had happened, just foreshadowing with
Yep.
the newspaper side. So, but anyway, that's a little
Yep.
bit too maybe too industry. That's
A little niche, a little niche.
sorry, guys, but yeah, I mean, to get back to you're been always such a supporter of mine. I'm just always looking for what's next. But selfishly, I'm just like, this is what I want to do. I
Mhm.
I am an artist first, and to actually sort of accepted that. I've said it. I wrote it in my bio,
Mhm. Mhm.
and then I had to jump into what that meant. And so, really, I've really only been doing sort of my life's love for. I was talking about this to my friend about 2 years now. Because I tried to hang on to the steel wire jewelry because I do like that.
Mhm.
But I had to admit to myself, my steel wire was really I love steel wire, but steel wire, what was the thing that I could make found objects hang on my body? you know, so like how do you make an ear wire? How do you make a capture? How do you make a chain? Because those objects aren't going to stick on your body just like that. So it was a
No.
means to an end, and not and oh, I love that. That was my first book with Lark and working with Martha Levan. Oh my God, that was like my heyday. Yeah, I mean, just I had to say, okay, is this really where you want to focus, or are you still dividing yourself?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, it's good you were able to be honest with yourself, and hopefully you had some counsel or somebody you could talk to. But if not, you came about it pretty quickly and figuring it out. Although I will say, forever you have always said to me, "I'm an
Yeah.
artist first. I miss my art. I miss my art. I miss my art. I miss my art."
Mhm.
Through all of the evolution of Now That's a Jig and all of it, it was always
Mhm.
there. I've said this,
Yeah.
not that it matters, but I've said it to Katie. I'm like, you are a writer.
Mhm.
You love writing.
Mhm.
Maybe you should be writing.
Do the writing, girl. Do the writing. Yeah, and I mean, the other thing that you and I've spent late nights over a glass of wine talking about is, how to contribute to the family,
Yes, of
and
course.
also do that. And, you're like, I went to college. I should be able to do this. I went to,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
but so how to mix it and match it and have it come out, doing that. So a little less focus on that. And I'm from the '80s. That's when What Color's Your Parachute came out. And I slept with that bugger under my pillow for probably 2 decades.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that was like that, and
Yep.
you're younger than me. I always kind of like pull you along into my decade, but yeah, it was like all about the dream and what you could have
Yeah. Well, and I
if you
think that's
just write your
important.
gratitude.
Yes. Oh gosh, yes. But at the end of the day, we've got bills to pay, so you have to be reality, a little bit reality in there.
A little bit, a little bit.
But I do think it's important to acknowledge what does excite you. And they say, if you just follow your passion, you follow your heart, the rest will fall into place. And I keep telling myself that, I try because I like you have made decisions that were for the dollar, were for a salary, were for my family, always the sacrifices for my family and being able to put a roof
Mhm,
over our head and whatever. And
mhm, mhm.
I know most people that I've ever encountered are in the same boat. So I think,
Yeah.
we're not saying anything that isn't very common, but maybe finding any advice you have on how to kind of get out of that cycle so you really do make the time for yourself. Because that's the other thing. Well, if you make time for it, like, sure, after
Mhm,
I've gone to work, got up at 5 o'clock, got the kids to daycare, went, did my job, came home, went food shopping, cooked dinner, cleaned up, took the kids to football practice. Sure. Oh, now I have time for myself. I'm exhausted.
Yeah. 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 And especially have Rich, who is very, helpful in home and stuff. And he wasn't the traditional, like, no, you're the woman, you do the laundry and the cooking and the blah, blah, blah.
No, that
And you
would
work
not fly.
too.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't fly here. Yeah, he's very helpful. But I think Jim is too, and I think that's, choosing a good life partner definitely helps.
Yeah. We're both lucky in that aspect that we've had some really supportive spouses. But yeah, I mean, so do I have any advice for people? Like, I don't know. I think the millennials and maybe Gen Z who are just like, we see you, mom and dad, and you have this mortgage, and maybe you weren't exactly following your thing, but So I'm still looking for that.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe just allowing yourself to be a little bit selfish.
Yeah.
Because I think we were raised, because you're not that much older than me, we were raised to not be selfish. Don't be conceited, don't be selfish, be grateful, be thankful, have good manners, be a good person. Like all of those things. It makes it hard to squirrel away some time for yourself and then not feel guilty about it. You know?
Play small.
Yeah.
Be kind. That's back to that being a good girl in the classroom thing.
Yeah.
We were groomed quite early for them.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah. But no regrets. I mean, I've always, I guess, if anything, I always knew I was a little bit different, and I wasn't going to fall into that. I mean, for God's sake, I'm wearing like a watch fob and a key on my ears. So
I have to say, you have always been different, and I was always so thankful that you even would talk to me, because I am not of that ilk. Have that bravery, nor do I even have it in my being to even think about it. And you're just so out there. Like, you showed up at the Swarovski meeting with this hat on and I was like sitting there in the very, wow, like, she's so cool. Like, who is that?
Because I had a hat on.
Well, you had all these other, like, yes, you had all these accessories on, and I was like, I had my little business outfit on and my proper shoes and my proper notebook, and
you're my J. Crew friend.
Well, I work there, so that's good. At least I can live the.
I remember you always were like, where do you find these
these things?
Salvation Army.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, you actually wear other people's clothes?
The thrift shop, yeah. Sometimes I don't even wash them first.
Okay, right there, we're so different, right there. Oh my gosh, that's too funny.
Take a minute, breathe a little bit.
I'm hyperventilating, twitching, a little twitched. I even made the camera go out of focus.
There's a tip for your audience: never shop secondhand, and if you do, don't watch that.
You could be like Brenda.
Yeah, there you go.
No, but you find the best things. You really do. And you have a sense of style that really does come together. So you make it seem so easy and effortless.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's fun. It's like one of the best compliments a friend of mine ever. She's actually, being an eldest girl, I always realized I always sort of looked for a big sister. And so I've had friends that are older than me. And then, so like one of my friends said, Brenda, she said, you live your heart, your house, how you decorate your house, how you dress, how you and of course you make your things. So and I know there's so many other people. I mean, Instagram has opened up my eyes to, wow. I mean, I'm tame compared to some of these people that are just, expressing themselves in all these, wearing shirts backwards and,
Oh, you mean Ryan?
Right. What I missed that.
Oh, he like just throws on whatever, and even just growing up, he'd wear plaid with plaid, and I was like, oh my God. And yet he made it work. He could care less. different socks. Yeah. He's been doing it his whole life. He thrifts. Yeah. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Love that kid.
Well,
man. I love you, Ryan.
You'll be right. No, I'm just kidding. But being on Instagram, you're right. You're exposed to a whole other world. So let's get into Instagram, because you are like, what's the right word? I don't want to say expert, because that overstates it. But you really are in on the nuts and bolts of Instagram. You've been in there very early on. You have navigated all different ways of that platform. You've lost your audience, like you've lost your channel. You had to restart.
Facebook, yeah.
Oh, it was Facebook.
Yeah. So, Instagram is one of those love-hate things. I tend to deep dive into things that keep me busy. Mm-hmm. And I bet you I decided I was going to deep dive into Instagram probably 2 years ago. And every other day I'm like, that's it. I'm not doing as much on Instagram, and then it sucks me.
Then you're getting dressed in your closet on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, what did you do? She's naked in the closet.
Tim said, Mike said that you're in your underwear on Instagram.
I said it out loud. I'm like, Brenda, I don't want to see things to see underwear. And I love it about you. You're like, whatever. And you look great. You look fabulous. Nobody would ever know you're in your 60s. Nobody would know it.
Oh my goodness. Well, yes, I do know that. But gosh, things are so different. I mean, I went to school, made my own major in fashion and marketing, and there wasn't a chapter on social media platforms.
No.
that I could have taken. There was the one computer class was computers and their uses, or basic programming. My high school had one computer for the whole high school, and it was locked in the library closet.
Like, wow, you were progressive. I don't even think we had a computer.
They weren't going to let the kids at it. That's for sure. I mean, that thing was probably bigger than the closet itself. Anyway, where was I going with this?
Oh my God. Well, technology, like, we didn't really have access to any sort of awareness to any of it.
Yeah.
We had
my first job in which one was it? Which mall was that? Westland Mall, yeah. And I had to learn how to use the fax. They're like, why were we faxing? That was something that everyone threw, that was the meme at the time. Right? So that were the jokes that went on the fax machine. Wasting time. But yeah, so, I mean, talk about being nimble and trying to pivot. And so social media, websites, there were not anything like that. Oh my goodness. To me, Instagram, now that I am actually like paying more attention to get this, in the hobby industry, what was our target market all the time? What ages?
It still is the 40 to 60-year-olds.
Yeah. Women. 40 to 60. You know what my target market is now? 18 to 34. I don't know. Who is that? So now I have to okay, I know I have living, I have 2 sons that are in that, but I think probably I should go for the females with jewelry. Mm-hmm. So who are they? I mean, so I'm looking at, the people they're dating, and they're all so, I love this about them. They're all so individual. Like, James' girlfriend now, she's listening to 70s music, and she has this genre all like, I listen to 70s, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wait a minute. You mean just 70s music? Because that's what I listened to. It didn't have a genre. It was just whatever was on the radio.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But, someone else might be listening to. So this place I go to get a lot of my little elements for this current collection I'm working on is this woman, and she is listening to country. What?
Wow.
How you're 23. What?
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're learning a different generation. I mean, because that in itself is an education.
Yeah, because at least when you and I were making jewelry, we market to ourselves. We knew what we liked, and it's like, And I'm a believer in just like, you have to, we've said this before, is like you want to not make jewelry for whatever market you think it's going to fit into. It has to resonate with you. I mean, especially now, people can
Mm-hmm.
sniff that
Mm-hmm.
inauthenticity like no tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But I realize I'm only using myself as a model, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and those clothes don't have all my wrinkles.
Nope.
I like
Any
my
maybe.
wrinkles. Yeah, right. Right. So they don't know what 11 lines are. Well, they do because of the cosmetic industry has,
Right. Well, and some of
worked
them are
through it.
already, yeah, and some of them are already combating it as
Taxing.
24. Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, you poor kids. Like,
Yeah.
hold on, it only gets worse.
There's something you can look forward to, all you lovelies. But, but I think too, they're less worried. I mean, they have hairy armpits and they have, they don't care if their clothes are wrinkled. And can you imagine you and I going to work in our little corporate? Do you know that one time I was sent home from work because I was wearing jeans? Now, I had ironed my jeans and it was Friday, but I
Oh,
was
say well,
sent home.
Fridays.
I was sent home and then I had to come back.
Wow.
Yeah, I was working for a real estate, the little insert note in there is that I had gotten so far away from fashion after I left the shopping center industry. I said I wanted to be in Milwaukee. I was just too far away, and I was like, I had no friends because I was switching jobs every, year and a half, and here I was.
Wow. And they
Yeah.
sent you home. I definitely wasn't allowed to wear jeans, but even on a Friday. But I'd imagine they would have been happy if I showed up versus sending me home if I really needed to come to work in jeans that day.
Yeah. I think I was already showing my colors. Oh, anyway, so the point I was trying to get to is that I had really gone. I wanted to be in Milwaukee, so that meant fewer fashion opportunities, and so then I just went down this rabbit hole. I worked for an architectural firm, which was sort of posh still, right? But then I left that and went to work for a construction firm, and then I went to work for a real estate developer firm, and then the coup de grace was that I interviewed for the Ready Mix Concrete Association in a marketing role, and walked in there with my 3-inch heels. There they would have let me wear jeans,
They would have been okay with that.
but I was so far away from my art.
Oh, that's completely 180.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember Jim said I came, and that I was actually, I left there and I was actually temping for the city of Milwaukee in their computer division. And I could have had a job there, and I was, 8 months pregnant, and I was so upset that they weren't listening to anything I thought they should be doing. And Jim said to me, Brenda, you're going to have a baby. What do you care? And I was like, what? Okay, I'll stay home. And I wanted to stay home because I was also like taking these continuing ed classes, for screen printing, and I was doing my art, and
You were finding a little of that creativity. I think,
yeah,
Jim saw the writing on the wall. He was like, okay.
damn him. He's always been the black and white to my every color rainbow coat.
So good. Yeah. So good. Opposites attract. Yeah. And we need some of that.
Good.
Yeah. We need some of that balance.
He never pressured me like, you need to get back to work and contribute to this. It was always me because I felt like that was my identity, who it should be. I wanted to contribute because I was smart and I was creative and I was innovative. Yeah.
And you still are. And you are all of those things. Even still.
Yeah. Just so to always make a lot of money.
Oh, money. Right. We're back to that again. Money. How do we make money? It's hard. It's hard to be in the creative space. It's hard to be learning new things, like you were identifying all the things that we've had to learn on our own or on the job, but especially on our own when we are not in a job environment, you have to learn it all. And
Mhm.
and I think about it. I read somewhere recently, I don't know if it was a continuing ed class or an online, I think it was an online from a local big university.
Mhm.
And I said, by the time I finish that course, it's all going to be different anyway. Like this stuff,
Yeah.
there's nothing that you can put on in a textbook or in a course that isn't going to change in 6 months.
Mhm.
By the time you finish it, you need to start over again because everything keeps changing. And
Yeah.
I don't say that as a bad thing, but it just makes it very difficult to stay up to date and on the curve in the right
And
direction
relevant. Yeah. I mean, I
and
think
relevant.
gone are the days. Liam is in the, I don't even know what to call it. He's in the weed industry. And,
Mm-hmm.
and he wants to go back for a degree in botany. And I'm thinking,
Oh, cool.
A, that's great, and B, is that really, I mean, they're already doing their own grow. They're learning so much because they're talking to people who actually do it and learning, on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And, you have to question what do 4-year degrees get you
Right. And,
anymore?
and what is the value proposition? I mean, maybe he just wants to go to school, but what at the end of the day in the industry he's in is a degree going to do for him? Like Kevin had to finish his degree to advance to the next step. Like it was a clear path and he was told very specifically.
Yeah.
And I'm sure nobody has told Liam, "Oh, I'll promote you to manager if you have a 4-year degree in botany."
No, but at the same time, he's working as a trimmer now, so he's trimming those plants. And, they're not being paid very much, especially for how expensive life is in
Yes.
Phoenix and anywhere
Oh, yeah.
in,
Yeah.
Philly area. So
I see.
back to that. Yeah.
Well, and so
So
maybe he has other aspirations he just hasn't identified yet to make it so that you can understand his need to change. And
yeah, no, and I don't really doubt his aspirations,
Mhm.
except for I want him to feel valued
Yeah.
as an employee, and it's definitely not that right now. I mean, the kid's 26. So by the time you were 26, you were ruling the world. So
It's true. Not quite, but it's close.
yeah, you're one step. You were vice ruler. No, I just say that because that's like, and not to turn that on you, but yeah, I mean, well, at 26, my mother had, I don't know how many kids. She had 3 or 4 kids by then.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Life is
So
different.
different.
And it is hard to stay relevant. It's hard to stay in the right frame of mind to help our children. I
Hmm.
like I only hesitate because I'm like, they're not children anymore, they're adults. And like, how do
Yeah.
you help them knowing that life is so different from when you were there and it was so
Hmm.
different from when they were in high school and had this plan
Hmm.
that their
Hmm.
guidance counselors helped them plot out. It's so different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know that it was anything different for us, but they were raised differently than we were.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know.
For
I don't
sure.
know, I don't know if that's
Yeah.
fair.
Well, I guess what we're getting to is, here we are, the sandwich generation, right? So
Mhm.
we're still kicking, helping the kids learn how to adult.
Mhm.
Our version of what we think should be adulting, which is tainted, obviously,
Mhm.
admittedly, and then um, both of our fathers have passed. We got our mothers, and my mom wants to stay as independent as possible, but admittedly, she needs more and more help every year.
Mhm.
You know, and um, and their expectations with that. And some I balk at, and some I'm like, dutiful daughter,
Mhm.
because I love her. You know.
Of course, of course. Well, and to be fair to you, and not that it's anybody's need to understand this, but you have helped other people already who have not aged gracefully or
Yeah,
well, and you've
yeah.
already you've kind of already played that role, or were generous and kind. I don't think you were playing at anything. You were very generous and kind in your time and your thoughtfulness, and it's now time for your mom. But your mom is also probably not as receptive to some of what it would be you'd be happy to offer.
Yeah, so she's got two things going against her. She's got like, Brenda's done taking care of everyone. And, I did these things because I'm the eldest and this is what I do. And sometimes, to admit it was probably like, oh, it's easier to go over here and help someone when I should be really working on business strategy,
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of a sidestep in some cases. Yeah, she's so funny. And Tammy, you know my mom very well. She doesn't want to be seen as needy. We have one friend that's not that much younger than her, and she tries to help her out of the car. Poor little Terry. She's about 90 pounds dripping wet. My mom is just incensed. She tried to help me out. Need help.
I'm fine. I don't need help. Oh,
Yeah.
oh wait,
So
I
next
can't
time you
actually
see her, don't try to take her, as she's trying to hop up on the curb, don't try to take her elbow or anything. She might fall, but,
She doesn't need help. She's cool. I've got this. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so the sandwich generation. What does that mean for us though? Like, because you have navigated it before or in some capacity. Some of our listeners are going to either be entering into it, are in the middle of it, or don't even know what it means to know that they should be thinking about it at some point. What would you offer?
Being in the position of being a caregiver, or I guess I don't understand completely.
Like how do you raise a family? How do you run a business of your own? How do you run a family of your own? And how do you help take care of your parents and do it gracefully?
Well, yeah, I was going to say I don't think I'm doing it too gracefully.
Okay, so no advice. Just know that it's.
I tell you what. Here's the answer: always embrace psychotherapy. And I'm not really joking about psychotherapy, but yeah, I mean, it's good. How do you navigate this thing called life and all its ups and downs? And I'd love it. Challenges teach us so much, but they're so hard sometimes, and you just keep going. And I've lived a charmed life. There's so many people out there that, golly, what they've been through, with disease and death of children, and it's like, gosh, I have nothing to complain about. You and I have had this conversation over and over again, and it's still hard. Sorry.
Yeah, we don't want to come off because we know people do have it harder, more challenges, and we don't mean to make light of it at all.
No.
But just trying to navigate life and keep your head above water and get back to the whole root of it is like, and be an artist and find your way and make your way and be relevant and maybe make some money, at least to feel somewhat. It's a lot.
Yeah. But I will say, hopefully what we're doing and a lot of artists out there is just, keep on keeping on for future generations. I mean, art used to be revered. Artists used to be revered long ago. But I really do believe that we need art in our lives and we need art in our worlds, and beyond philosophically give us so much to fill our spirits and fill our time, fill our lives. And I think that was part of the problem for me. My dad was always like, you always, to him, Upper Michigan was God's country. Well, I wasn't as much of a nature girl. I wanted to be where museums were. I wanted to be where, there was art in the schools that was embraced more than just, one little art class that you could take. And then I could wear my high heels too. And thank God we did have that one little art class. But man, I couldn't get out of Upper Michigan fast enough. I just wanted to be, because, when you're 8, you know enough about yourself. I was in Scouts and I was in this, and I was always like a joiner. And there weren't as many opportunities. If there was someone else's mother in your class that, formed, she was your 4-H leader, so you're that, so field trips were more exciting then. God, I feel like I'm being a Debbie Downer, Brenda Downer.
Brenda Downer. No, we're being real. We're trying to be real and navigate life and be honest and open about it and authentic and at the same time trying to pursue something that we are passionate about. And I do think getting back to the point of teaching people, because that has been a big part of your whole existence in this jewelry realm, is inspiring and empowering other people to do and to make and to create. And I don't know that you'll ever lose that 100%. I am glad that you are getting back to doing your own art and finding your own voice and exploring venues and art opportunities that the DIY side of life doesn't really even know anything about. And I love that. Like, you're just intrepid.
Intrepid. I have to get out the dictionary for that one. You're always so sweet to me. Oh gosh, I just hope so. I just keep following what I do. A lot of journaling. I'm starting to meditate every day, which I'm really enjoying. But just really like getting at and just self-awareness, just like what do I really want? And the stakes are higher when you're 62. You're like, okay, I got a couple good decades left.
Let's make these count, people.
And it's fun to like, so I don't, dial up to be here at home and work in my casita. But when we do go to dinner, which we do a lot, I'll wear something, and the people that are most loving of what I'm wearing are those younger set. They're
that's cool.
And so in my mind, it took a couple years of getting like those compliments. And like, wait a minute. It's not the hobby ladies with the money, because they can make it themselves. They want to learn the skill. They want to feel how awesome it is to create something with their own hands, and where young girls are just like, especially with as individualistic as they love to express themselves. And they'll back again wear those shirts backwards and and sweatshirts over trousers, and like, man, we had so many fashion rules, didn't we? Like, this doesn't go with that, and white shoes after Labor Day and whatever. I probably had that backwards, and I love it. I always loved, like, if I would have had a little girl, and I guess I had sort of the equivalent in wanting to wear Superman costumes to school. Not my kids, but I'm saying I love those little girls who just want to wear their tutus to school, or their princess costumes. They're like, go, let them do it.
Yeah, why are we fighting it?
Yeah. Of all the things you have to fight with, 4-year-olds,
right?
That shouldn't be one of them. Yeah.
Right. Well, and so you thrift. You made that clear. You are working in found objects, but I feel we didn't touch on what inspires you. Like, how do you find your inspiration to thrift, to find the things? And let's just say it, like, you swept up the floor the other day and you made this amazing piece of art that the reel itself went viral. So, I mean,
elephant in the room.
It seems the perfect time to bring it up.
I'm glad you warmed me up to that, Tam. Yes. What it means to go viral on Instagram. I do know that. And I would tell you, it's never to me.
Haters gonna hate.
Hate. And then when they start talking to you in the third person, like it's not your account. The one guy said to me, he said, she'd be a hoarder.
No, I'm not, but thank you.
Close. I'm hoarder-esque, okay? Yeah, let's talk about that a little.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess I just see it sort of started with me when I love going secondhand shopping. I like seeing a lot of found object artists like Michael Deming or some other people. They will create these things and then they paint with it. They have this vision. But I love the what Jill Erickson, one of my editors, used to say. You love the thinginess of things.
Mm.
I love the old patina. I love the wear, the history. And Susan Leonard is not what she's doing so much now, but when we met her, when she was teaching, made a necklace out of, it was called the poker game, and it was made
Mm-hmm.
out of cigarette butts and cards and $100 bill all cut up and made into like little tiny tassels. I mean, it's my people, so I get, and I love creating, like taking old things, mixing them up and making something new. And I feel like a lot of my more pieces that at least resonate more with me are the ones that I create whole new little narratives from. So, you take this little elephant squeaky toy that was a bath toy, and you make him little puppets that are Karen Ovington's. I'm shouting a lot of people's art here because they're so inspirational, but she had these glass faces, and I made them
Mm-hmm.
into little puppets, and then built him like a little traveling platform. And so I had, who knew that this little bath toy was going to become this, traveling puppeteer's secret, So, so I have these visions, and I just like playing with it. Play is the biggest. If I had to boil my life's inspiration down to anything, it's just that I love to play, and I love to mix and match and unmatch, mostly. Mix and unmatch. I like that. Should be a
Mix and
t-shirt.
unmatch. Well, you can
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Um,
So where that gets to is that you start going down that road, and then all of a sudden you're looking at the floor sweepings and you're like, that's could be art.
it could be. Let me try.
And you better be ready when you put it on Insta.
On the line, to quote
Yeah.
one of our favorite movies, when you put it on the line.
Well, and then it didn't help that the trending audio was just perfect with it. It was that you audio, what's this? Ew, what's this? Let's go for it. What's she doing? So yeah, I built that little, I think that was like a 12-second reel, and built that audio. But the coolest part, so of course you're going to get the haters, and they help you build content that resonates
Mhm.
too with people that come to your rescue. But what I most like, and then you have the people that will support you no matter what. I mean, you can puke in a bag, and they be like, "Oh, that's so innovative." But what touched me most was there was one gal, and I pinned her to the top. She's like, "You know what? I don't get this, but I really want to understand." And that really, I was like, okay, why did I do this? What does this mean to me?
Mhm.
And so it made me go deeper into myself, but it also helped me explain it to other people. And then, more content came from there. And I did 2 blogs, guest blogs for my creativity coach, Eric Maisel, um, for Fine Art America. And, it was more research, and, it was like, oh, this is like that. And this is pushing the limits. And then so I wrote that, and I mean, I think I got over 800 comments, which I dutifully answered each one. And then
Of course.
so I wrote that, and I was like, yeah, well, this is pushing the limits, and what is art? And it's questioning this and making us think about it. These other haters are like, you're not questioning nothing. This is, poop emoji.
Well, but they took the time to read it. That's interesting. Like, so you had engagement. I mean,
Yeah.
engagement,
Oh my God.
that counts. It counts.
Yeah.
You just have to be thick-skinned enough to be like, that was not
Oh yeah.
nice.
Yeah. And and the whole range of emotions, some that that's not nice. And some I tried to explain, and some I just, liked it. Because I still
And
like
say
even
thank
those hate ones, because that counts.
Yep, it does. It does. And just say thank you, thank you, thank you,
Yeah.
thank
Yeah.
you.
But back to social media, and I I get it why people don't want to dive in as deep as I do, because it's a lot.
It's a lot.
And
It's a job.
it's a job to itself. It's a time suck, and when I catch myself every time I have a spare second, like the minute I get off of this this lovely time with you, I'll pick up my phone, you know. So I really want to work on that too. So I mean, we're just like doing all the authenticity here. So
Yeah, but I think that's important because I would imagine we're all a little bit controlled by the dings and the dongs and the binging and the bonging.
hmm
And
hmm
my phone's on silent. It's on do not disturb constantly because I knew I was being so reactionary to every single sound.
yeah,
And, I gave that up
hmm
probably in 2012. And I was like, I can't have this run my life. But
yeah, yeah,
I will pick up my phone as well as soon as we're done because I'm
yeah,
sure I've missed
yeah. The
something or something needs
notifications,
my attention.
yeah, yeah, and because you're that dutiful, you know, your career has always been, and you guys need to know this who don't know about Tammy the way I do. She has been doing this long before any of us. She's like the OG.
Just say because I'm old. I can
I'm
say that
older.
now.
I'm older.
You are older.
If that means anything.
No.
But yeah, I mean, what a ride. What a ride. I've
Oh,
loved it.
amen. Yep.
Yeah.
It's been the
Yeah.
best.
It's to be able to do what we do. And this is the main thing that I tell my two boys is you don't know what's going to bring. You just do the next best. You just do the next thing that feels right.
Hmm.
'Cause you don't know that, you're going to become, you get to spend, the better part of your career in the hobby industry showing people how to make jewelry. I mean, what? Do you remember when beads first came into malls and there was like little kiosks and stuff? That was actually how I learned about beading first. Was
Oh,
that we had a little kiosk and this lady was selling beads. I'm like, what's this? What are you
interesting.
doing here? You're selling beads.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and I swore I would never do anything related to using those tiny little bees. It's like,
Yeah.
why would anybody want to do that?
The
And then, of course, I did it, and I've got a wall full of beads in front of me right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep. Yep.
well, I think making is such an important part of who we are as people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I try to encourage people, especially people who are struggling with something or trying to process grief or
Mm-hmm.
whatever life has thrown at them. It's like, here, what can I teach you how to make? What can I share
Mm-hmm.
with you? What materials do I have? Here's some
Yeah.
embroidery floss and a needle and a canvas. Let's just do some stitching.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like just get some of that.
Oh, yeah.
Get you off the
Just
hamster
do
wheel
it.
mentally and just get your hands busy doing something. It's so important for
Mm-hmm.
so many different reasons.
Yeah. If I had a, dollar for every time someone has said basically, I used to, I dipped my toe into like having these little kits where I would do a design and then I would give everyone everything they could, they needed to make that thing. It's just simple stuff. But people would say, "Oh my God, I did this when I was recovering in the hospital, or I found you, or I read this magazine," or how many people come to working with their hands that would have never done it before because they're convalescing,
Hmm.
or they're in a space of their life that is just too much, and
Hmm.
it's meditative.
Yep.
But
Or it
thank God.
or I've had people it was something that they did, but they didn't have the confidence. And then after a workshop, they come away feeling like somebody finally supported them, believed in them. And, to
Hmm
have people share that level of emotion with you that they experienced in a 3-hour workshop.
mm
It's like,
Yeah.
okay, thank you for telling me that because I would never have imagined that to be possible. So there's so much value and benefit in sharing knowledge and tools and materials and supplies and empowering other
hmm
people, especially
hmm
women, because so many women are suppressed or repressed. And I don't mean to
hmm
genderize it at all, but it just society has
hmm
created some things that make it harder when
hmm
you're a woman.
Yeah. And, trying to be that perfect wife, that perfect woman, that perfect, like, I can't make this because it might not look like the teachers, or I can't make this because it
Yeah.
might not turn out right, or I don't have these 2 beads left to finish this. I have to wait until I get back to, no, just add these other 2 beads. It'll be great.
It'll be amazing. And it'll be more
I have a
of
fr-
fun than.
yeah, I have a friend who is a librarian, and she loved kids. And I mean, yeah, that's great, but it's okay to, put two red beads in there.
It's really okay.
Said the person with the manicure with one red, one red finger. I'm like, but yeah, perfection is, yeah, too
Way overrated.
not good. Yeah,
No.
it's so bad. I mean, and there have been times when I think we both could say that we have been affected as well.
Oh,
We can't put
greatly.
this out there. Can't be on Instagram in your underwear because that might be not. I don't know, Tammy. You might not want to run this. I think I'm just way.
I love it.
It just, I realized I didn't really circle back to the whole thing when Jim said he was going to retire. I thought my life was over because I thought I had to quit trying to make money.
Oh. If he retires, you retire.
Yeah, yeah. And well, my husband, God bless him, has like 5 hobbies for every one hobby that anyone else has. He's always loved to dabble in whatever. So now he's into astronomy. And I always have to think, okay, it's not astrology because he gets mad about that. It's astronomy.
They're very different.
Are they though?
They are. Jim, I'm here for you.
Oh my God. I was we had a retirement party for him, and so these friends that couldn't be there. He's so funny. So we taped him. He did a little video and he was teasing Jim. He's like, no, I really think it's great that you're retired and you have more time for your astrology. But I'm a Libra. No, and we had now that we're out here when there's a lot of dark sky, and one of the things he's really delving into is astrophotography, where you take pictures of these nebula and everything. And the guys that were at the party for that were just that was the best joke.
That is.
I'm a Libra.
And I'm a Libra.
Yeah, I'm a Libra.
Can you do my chart for me now that you've got more free time?
I'm a cusp of Taurus. Actually, that's not even possible.
Well, so the fact that when Jim retired didn't actually mean that you didn't retire. What did that mean for you?
Because I'll never retire. But I thought I had to
Hmm.
for some odd reason.
Hmm.
And there's so many people that retire because they want to live their lives. They want to now do what they've always thought they would do when they retire. And so they're retiring early. So their health is, lively enough to be doing those things. And the difference is that I've pretty much always just done what I wanted to do.
I was going to say, I've retired a long time then.
Yeah. I had two children, and then I retired.
You've been retired 28 years.
Yes.
Well, and I took it when I left my job a year ago. People said, "Oh, you're retiring?" And I took offense to that. I'm like, I'm not that old. No. Retiring?
Well, do not move to Arizona because everyone thinks when you move here, you're retired. People shouldn't work when you're living in Arizona.
Well, and then I had to I think I want to go back and either redefine the word or read the word for what it really means, because maybe I have retired because now I'm doing what I want to do, the way I want to do it.
Yeah.
And if you've been doing that all along, again, intrepid. You're the trendsetter from. I just took a long time to catch up to you, which is pretty par for the course.
No, not at all. Not at all. We're like those chipmunks, and we're like, oh, after you. No, after you.
Well, after you. But I will never wear my underwear on Instagram as long as I have control over the footage.
Hey, do not knock it till you've tried it, man. It's the best.
I love my marriage. Where Jim didn't mind hearing from his friend, Rich would be like, it's a little bit more concerned than Tim.
Tammy's on Instagram in her underwear.
Marilyn Hanneman, what are you doing?
Does he pull the middle name thing, the formal name out too?
He doesn't. That's just me in my own head.
Yeah, your parents, they're always there, right there.
Well, we love Janet. We truly love Janet.
Of course we do.
We want her to hear it. We want her to hear it and know that we love her. Thank you for joining us, Brenda. And thank you to all of you for tuning in. It's such a pleasure for me to have had this time with Brenda and for me to share her with you. I encourage you to follow Brenda anywhere you can find her, especially on Instagram, and just keep up with all that she's got going on because she truly is the trendsetter ahead of all of us. Oh, that's a wrap on another episode of Heart and Hands of a Maker. It's been so wonderful sharing this time with you. Thank you for tuning in. And if you want more, be sure to head over to tamarahoneman.com/podcast for today's show notes and links to make it easy for you to find Brenda. And to be sure you never miss an episode, follow Heart and Hands of a Maker on your favorite podcast platform.